Oh shit. Okay. Hey up. Moved house. So because I've moved house, changed tops. No, just kidding. So I want to get back into the 10xTrainers and talk about the foundations and everything. And I talked a lot about who, the what, the why, the principles, and all that kind of stuff in previous videos. But in this video, I want to talk about something that's incredibly important and really does set the wheat from the chaff, the good trainers from the crap trainers, because anybody can go into the gym and just bang out a training session. Anybody can do that, but not everybody can motivate the tough clients. Not everybody can find an approach that kind of works with these people that hate training, hate eating clean, don't even see themselves as being overweight or unfit, don't understand the benefits of being more active and all this kind of stuff. They just know, or they just think that doing a bit of training is something that they should do. Okay, and whenever we should, we feel like we should do it, it's quite, there's not a lot of motivation there. Only when they want to do it, it's things very different. So we're going to talk about your approach. And I've just made a few notes here, a couple of things that you can think about, and that's all I want to do really, is to get you to think about what you're doing and how you can spice things up or change things. And I just wonder if you've ever really thought about, your approach and what you do. So this is what it's about. So I wrote these notes a few weeks back now, so hopefully it'll trigger a few thoughts as we go along. So let's get into it. All right. So starting with this little bit over here, your approach. The first thing to remember is, with regards to your approach and the way that you interact with clients and deliver your sessions, is you've got to remember that it's an act. Every time you step out onto the training field, into the gym, into your studio, whatever it is that you're doing, you've got to remember it's an act. All right. If you're going out and you've had a really, really shitty day, that you cannot let that, impede what the client is doing. You've got to put on your big boy pants or your big girl pants or whatever and get out there and put on an act, because when they come and they're low on energy, the low on motivation, all this kind of stuff, they need to get that from somewhere. And the way I describe it is having two batteries. And if you've got one battery that's, the power in the battery is quite low and flat and deflated, and there's not a lot of power in there, and you've got another battery which is full of energy, full of stored energy, you connect them two batteries, the stored energy will start to move across into the flat battery. And I call that lending them energy. And you've got to lend them energy. They're not likely to get energy from other sources. They're going to have to get it from people, the surroundings, and the activities that you're doing. So if you put on this act, and remember that it is an act, that you're going to lend them energy, and that's going to be so much more powerful. Okay, so remember it is an act, and the best trainer is going to be the best actor. It really is, as simple as that. Now, I know you're probably watching this and thinking, yeah, but I love training, and I love coaching other people, and I love seeing people. Yeah, so do I, but after a few hundred people, you get a little bit drained with it, you get a little bit tired with it. And every time you step out, you've got to go, right, here we go. Here's the game. We're going to step into the game now, because it is a big act. Something that clients do really resonate with and do like is you sort of being cheeky, a little bit cheeky. It does really help. And also, you can get a few things across that would be really hard to say if you were saying it like, in a serious manner, like, by the way, you shit. But if you're a little bit cheeky, then that can really help. Cheeky really, really works. But obviously there's a fine line between being cheeky and just making them think, did he just really say that? Or did he mean that, like, for me or whatever? To just a full-on bloody abuse the client. Obviously that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about, just having a little bit of a laugh with them as part of the act. Lend them energy, I've already spoke about. So many times I've seen trainers and they're just like, yeah, that's the session, get on with it. What's the matter with you today? You've no energy, what's up with you? That's not a good trainer. A good trainer will recognize that they are flat, demotivated, and they need energy from somewhere, and they will understand that the quickest and easiest source of energy for that client right now is you. Okay, you've got to impart that energy into him. And if you're thinking, if you walk out of a session or a bloody a class or whatever, and you're like, "Fucking hell, that was flat." Well, that's your fault. That's you. You sort of think, "Oh yeah, but all the clients were really demotivated. They didn't have a lot of energy." Well, whilst ever you're pointing one finger, there's three fingers pointing back at you, and you need to be imparting your energy, filling the room full of your energy. You should almost come out sweating more than them because you've been dashing around, motivating them, lending them energy, and that is tough to do when you're doing it day in, day out. But this is why we say, it's part of the act, so make sure you're lending them energy all the time. Another thing that I see people kind of struggle with is the idea of controlling the sessions. Maybe it's a huge benefit coming from a military background. Maybe it's a bit of a downside sometimes. But one thing, the military does teach you is the ability to control the group. And so here's a couple of tips. Countdowns. So I have a nephew that's autistic. I've also got my son he's never been sort of certified autistic or anything like that, but he challenges us sometimes, and what I learned when I was trying to sort of communicate and do things with these is that if you just drop something in their lap, they'd absolutely flip out. They can't handle that. All right, they just don't like it. So what they need then is like a little countdown to when you're actually going to do something. So for example, right, 2 minutes, we're going to go and do this. 1 minute, 30 seconds, okay, 10 seconds, we're going to go and do this. And they've had a countdown. They're already starting to paint the picture of, let's say you're going from cone A to cone B, and it's like, okay, in 10 seconds we're going to go for cone B, get yourself ready, keep working, 3, 2, 1, change. They've already painted that picture in their mind, and they know, they've already assessed the route a little bit, so when they do change, you're controlling them, and that's a little countdown. Another thing to do is, when idea of control, if you give a boot camper or a personal training client or whatever, if you give them 10 seconds, they'll take 30. You know this. Okay, only the select few clients are like, okay, have 2 minutes, have a drink, whatever, and only so many will come back after 30 seconds going, right, let's get into it. You know what I mean? Majority of them will try and string out as long as they can. So when you're moving people around, use countdowns again. So all right, get yourself over on the water bottles. 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay, get them across. It's extra calorie burning. The moving at higher intensity, and all you're doing is just counting down from 10 to 1. You might say, okay, you've got 2 minutes on your water bottles, go. As the 2 minutes are ticking on, minute and a half, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. When I shout go, you better be ready to go, and you're giving them countdowns and you're controlling them and you're hyping them up, getting the intensity into the session, and also getting, lending them energy because you're controlling. You're like, right, this is a job to be done. Let's get this job done. The other thing is be assertive without being a bully. So these people, when they're tired, they're low on energy, they're low on motivation. Okay, they do need kind of bossing around a little bit, but only to a set standard. You're not there to bloody absolutely Hitler them around the studio or whatever. Okay, but don't be scared of being assertive, and it does help with control. An example with that is, if someone's pretty sloppy, no, stop. I am not accepting that. Okay, that is not you. That is not your best effort. Okay, let's start again. And you're quite firm, you're quite fair, but you're very assertive. Same with your water bottle. You say with your rests. Same with your moving from one station to another. Be quite assertive with it, because it does help with your command and control. But then the downside, or the opposite end of the scale, is that when you start to bring things down, let's say you're going to go into a stretch or something like that, they recognise that things are coming down. I've seen so many people that have just pretty, it's there, if you want to do it, just do it, pretty friendly and all this kind of stuff, and that's not really what they want. The other thing is that, with regards to assertiveness, and, the majority of men are a little bit different, but there are a lot of women out there that they are predisposed to be kind of ordered about and told what to do. And I'm not saying that in a sexist way, or maybe I am. I don't know, but I just know that a lot of women really, really resonate and are motivated by being told what to do. So use that. Obviously, with all these things, you kind of need to be looking out for the exceptions to the rule. There are some people that are like, don't talk to me like that, because I'm not a kid. I don't react well, and that's fine. You just adapt it a little bit. But the majority of people will want to be told what to do, want clear orders, delivered in a fair manner. With stacks of instruction where you're giving countdowns and all that kind of stuff. Okay, moving on then. So this next one then, have a theme. It's really hard, when you think about, okay, how many different exercises are there? How many different workouts are there? How many different places are there to train? How many different components of fitness do you want to train? That there is so much that sometimes you sit down to put a session together, and it's like, too much choice is like no choice. It's like going to bloody Wetherspoons and you have this massive menu and you're like, what the hell am I going to have? What the hell? And what do? You default to what you always have, all right? Because there's too much choice. Now, in order to sort of start to really narrow down onto what you want to do and make thinking easier, a little trick that I use when I'm putting my sessions together is I have a theme. I create a theme of whatever it is. And it's very similar to marketing. When you first start your training business or your fitness business or whatever, and you sort of think, right, okay, who can I help? Everybody. Right, who do I need to market to? Everybody. But actually, all you're doing there is diluting the message that you're trying to send out. You kind of going, you're trying to shout into everybody, going, guys, I do personal training. Who wants some? Anybody wants some? And they're like, whatever. Only when you really start to narrow down and whisper to potential clients do they really start paying attention. And what I mean by that is if, rather than, let's say, for example, you deliver spin classes, okay? You got your own little spin studio and you're looking for clients. At the start, your marketing's like, spin class, come and get it, all right? When you start to think, right, who specifically can I narrow down onto? And let's say you go, right, well, who does a lot of cycling at a decent intensity? Triathletes. Okay, cool. Do I want to market to every tri club in the country? No, probably about 10-15 mile radius. Okay, so now what you've got is tri clubs within a 10-15 mile radius. Who do you want to work with? Males, men or women? Teens, adults, mature. Whatever, you know what I mean? But the more you start to narrow down, the easier a lot of decisions are, because then you're going, right, well, where will I find mature triathletes? All right, well, I'll go to these clubs here and I'll say we got, you know what I mean? It kind of paints a picture where the minute you start to give something a theme and narrow down, the decisions are easier. For example, let's say you was like, right, I'm going to put a session together. It's summer right now. What are the what are the things of summer? And that might start, triggering some thoughts. It's Halloween, or it's getting on for Christmas, or it's autumn. And not just seasons, but just different themes. I've had themes before. In fact, I'm going to come on to that when I talk about some of the reps and stuff here. The next thing I want to talk about is, what sets a good trainer from a shit trainer, let's face it, is the ability to scale for beginners. So many times, in fact, let's flip it the other way. An incredible trainer that I worked with called Dave, the thing that set him apart was he could come up with a scaled exercise for a beginner, bang, like that, bang, 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 bang. It didn't matter what it was, It was like, right, we're doing this. Oh, I've lost my elbow. Right. And within seconds, he would give this person an alternative that was relative to what he was trying to do, scaled to their abilities, got the intensity to the level that he wanted to be, and got the resistance where he wanted it to be, and got very, very similar adaptation in the body from scaling these exercises, which was incredible. And I'm pretty sure what he did was, he just had a series of default scale exercises which he could scale down to or scale up to, but he was incredibly good at it, and that ability, it really will set you apart. It'll be the difference between somebody going, yeah, but the thing is I've slipped a disc, and you going, we'll just fucking stay out of this. Don't fucking get in my class, you know what I mean? And bloody flipping out and going, yeah, okay, fine, we can work with that. Which is what I want you to do. I want you to get down on the floor. I want you to do this. I want you to do that. Blah blah blah. And the ability to scale it is incredibly, a thing that will set you apart incredibly. How do you do that? It's a constant effort, because there is always someone that wants to have that little safety blanket of the old glass back, dodgy knee, bad ankle, all that kind of stuff. And we know that 9 times out of 10 it is just their way of maintaining a little bit of control. If they're saying, don't forget my bad ankle, and they get it in early. You know the types, they come to the session and they're like, yeah, but I've got a bad ankle though, I don't think I'll be running. Well, let's give it a try. Ooh, yeah, but the old ankle, and you see it all the time. And then obviously you get the people that have got serious injuries, and you really do need to scale them there. So you've got to have those things in the back of your mind. You've got to be thinking, when you're putting your sessions together and thinking, right, I'm going to do burpees here. Who's in my class? Who's likely to turn up? What injuries have they got? How am I going to scale that? And then have some default generic answers for the, so that when the time comes that you need to scale the exercises, it's just rolling off your tongue. And I'm pretty sure the clients will pick up at that and go, fucking hell, I've tried to get out of everything here, and he's got an answer for everything, which is great. And other trainers around you are going to be like, fucking hell, ingenious. And it just takes a little bit of forethought, a little bit of proactive thinking whilst you're putting your session together. Okay, on to reps. A couple of things that I use to control reps, just to, same again, get you thinking. And so I think, let's try and get away from the 3 sets of 10 or the yada yada yada. Dates of birth, numbers. I use numbers quite a lot, as in phone numbers. You know what I mean? Okay, I want to write the phone number. Okay, on the first exercise you'll do the first digit, second exercise you'll do the second digit, third exercise you'll do all that kind of stuff. So just be a bit creative with numbers. Dates of birth work work similar. I like this because what you'll always get, because you get such a variety, they've got to kind of concentrate on what they're doing. And some people will have like bloody born on the 29th of the 9th month in the 99, you know what I mean? They'll get loads of exercise in their date of birth. And other people will be like 1st of January 2011, and they'll get hardly any. So you've got to be able to mix it up, and that's quite an interesting thing to see. That dynamic during the session. And there's lots of other numbers that you can use. Different themes like we spoke about before, of which there is a whole host. You got just pick up a book or a magazine or a newspaper and think, okay, what is it? I've done 7 deadly sins, 4 seasons. I've done bloody all sorts of different themes. You could have a bloody 80s theme, a bloody Disney theme, anything at all, and it might not be the most motivating examples, but you kind of see what I mean. Once you start thinking about a theme there, or you thinking everything becomes easier. You can use their own names, or you can use names of the gym, names of exercises and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know why I put number patterns. Don't know, maybe it'll come to me later on. Hand in hand with reps then, timings on the minute, every minute, 10 deadlifts on the minute, every minute for however many minutes. Tabata is really popular right now. The thing about Tabata though, I don't know if you know where this came from, but basically this physiologist called Tabata did a study, and the quickest way to create an adaptation in the body, quickest, and he came up with this Tabata protocol, and it was 20 seconds, 100% lung busting effort, 10 seconds rest. That's the protocol. Anything else is not Tabata. It's one of those little pet hates that I've got. It's like, right, we're going to do Tabata timings, but what we're going to do is we're going to do 30 seconds and then 5 seconds. Well, that's not Tabata. And when, Miyamoto Tabata, or whatever his name was, did this study, and he created the best way of creating an adaptation in the body in the shortest amount of time. It wasn't 30 seconds and 5 seconds, so why are you changing it? And, change it by all means, but it's not Tabata, and there'll be some people in your session going, well, that's not fucking Tabata. And they'll start to question your authority and all this kind of stuff, and I just don't fucking like it. Get it right. Another one that I use quite often is hurricane timings, which is a bit like a storm. Again, theme. Think about the theme. So you start off with a little bit of work, quite a bit of rest. As the work goes up, the rest goes down until you get a minute in the middle, and it's like the eye of the storm, and then you work back down. And people really like that. They really like that because they start off and it's quite easy, and then they soon realise it's getting harder and harder and harder, and then they think, how the hell am I going to do a minute of intense boxing or whatever? But they do. They get through it, and then they work their way down. So just a few different things that you can do for timings, and there are hundreds and hundreds of other things that you can do. Like I said, in this little session here, I just want to get you thinking about your approach, what you're good at, what you're not so good at, what you need to improve on. Hopefully that you'll start to think about, every time you sit down and your mind goes blank when you're trying to put a session together, you'll think, right, okay, all I need is a bit of a theme. It might be a colour, it might be the time of the day, it might be a day of the month, it could be the people you're working with, it could be someone's birthday, so you do a special session for their birthday. There could be a significant date, and you do a special thing, St. George's Day, so you do a big mock, fighting a dragon type session. There could be, we've just had the McConnor Mayweather fight, so you could do like a big combat session. So many different things, all right? And you just need to be sort of, bit proactive, really get thinking, bosh. Okay, what's coming up in the next session? In the next session, we're going to talk about kit, predominantly for boot camps and that kind of stuff, and a few other little tips with regards to control and motivation and all that kind of stuff. So, until the next video, see you in a bit.